Ladies and gentlemen, we are now discussing the play-in tournament, the end of the NBA season. It's been a long one. It's been a long one. But now we're here to the exciting part. This is what it's all about. You make it to the end to see who the final teams are standing, and there's some pretty much some strong similarities to last year. I think this year the regular season to me symbolized just the emergence of Victor Wembanyama as it was supposed to. I don't know who or why. I think because maybe his skinny frame, he did have some doubt of kind of what he'd be able to do consistently in the NBA, or if he would just my and even me was just if he would get through with no injuries, just seeing how a lot of these rookies and big guys, especially if they're not built a certain way. You look at the Anthony Davises, you look at the Zion Williamsons, um, you even Chet Holmgren, you just you just kind of don't know. Even Joel Embiid, you just don't know how healthy they're gonna last through a season. I mean, the NBA is such a long, gruesome 82 game season, so that's what impresses me the most as far as his capabilities on the court. Sky was always the limit for me on him. I think I said that last year during the draft. I covered it right here on this channel that he was going to be the next. He's the next up. I think he proved that, and I think even though obviously it was on a rebuilding team, he definitely had moments where he proved that he is the next guy to watch. It's not the Jason Tatum. It's not the Jalen Brown's, not any of these guys. It's Victor Wembanyama. His first year, like LeBron didn't need any 3 or 4 year build up time. Victor didn't either. Generational player, obviously. Uh, and this year was just a microcosm of the things that he could do. I think that's what stands out the most about this NBA season. Again, Victor Wembanyama's performance, the way he competed, the way he grew his game, elevated each and every game. I feel like obviously he had slow points, but just his perimeter, his shot, his touch from deep. I mean, pulling up, hitting logo threes, pop, just letting him feel comfortable to be himself and handle the ball, take long threes, hit clutch game winning shots, blocked a ton of shots. Obviously, had his highlight tape. I think is already something like we've never seen before. Um, I don't know why. I think maybe because he's a foreigner, but he doesn't get as much credit as he should. But I think he definitely has put the world on notice to who he is and how special he's gonna be. I think now the torch of the NBA is in his hands. Obviously, winning has to happen before he starts getting certain kinds of attention. But I'm gonna go ahead and say nobody's gonna be better than him, barring some sort of freak accident. With that being said, let's go straight to the play-in tournament. And I watched all the games in the play-in. I like the play-in first of all. I think the play-in is a great thing. The NBA needed to do some things to basically. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it for your subscription to the channel. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be good. So sit back, relax, enjoy. But yeah, this playing tournament again. I think it's good. The NBA needed to do some things to try to close the gap between what the NCAA was doing because the NCAA is really taking over popularity, if you ask me, with basketball. So the NBA, as you could see, they did an even preseason tournament. I think in-season tournament. I wasn't too sold on that. But as you can see, Adam Silver has definitely tried some new things this year. He's got to be careful because a lot of us old school people, we know the NBA for what we know it for, and when you change it too much, it kind of gets away. But he definitely tried to roll the dice on some things. I think the play-in tournament is a win. I think that's great. I love it. It reminds me kind of the March Madness and aspect of it even better because it's just one game or two games. So let's cover it. So I think we had the Warriors right against the Kings. Um, the Warriors looked old. They looked old. Obviously, those two teams matched up last year in the playoffs, and it was close. It was a heavyweight battle between. I think the Warriors had the advantage, and obviously the Kings had a chip on their shoulder, and you could see it. And then they just, like I said, you took over. If you ask me, um, I think they have a guy Ellis, a two-way player from the G League. Like I said, I didn't know much about the guy, but obviously he was a two-way player, worked his way up from the G League to being on the roster full time, becoming a starter. And I saw him, rip Steph Curry, take the ball from Steph Curry. He didn't have any fear, and he had a great game. That team is young, so I think they punched their ticket. I think the Warriors are eliminated. I think they talked about Klay Thompson. He had 0 points. Um, Warriors got some things to think about. Do they keep that three-headed monster together anymore? They've been beaten up. Gotten beaten up quite a bit these past couple of years. We'll see what changes they make, if any. That'll be an interesting thing to watch. Obviously, the end of a dynasty, end of an era. What happens if they break it up? What happens with Steph? What happens with Draymond? That'll be very interesting. But they had a nice run. I mean, I think Draymond didn't do him any favors with all the ejections in games that he cost the team with that. So I'm not sure what they got going on. I think ever since he hit Jordan Poole, there's just been some drama that they had to kind of clean up, and they tried to keep things together, but they just weren't able to. So um, it's definitely not a good look when you're a team like that and you get knocked out of the playoffs entirely. The NBA's not used to not seeing Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond and the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs at all. So I think that's probably gonna lead the back office to start making some decisions. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see. Um, what were the other games? Let's see. We had LA, of course, the Lakers, Pelicans, I believe. Zion Williamson, tip my hat to him. The guy had 40 points. Once again, injured again. He's injury prone, obviously, but the fact is he did make it to the end of the stretch. Steph Curry gets his flowers. But Zion Williamson, yeah, he got hurt at the end. But if you get hurt after you score 40 points, I think you kind of get a pass. Obviously, it was the play-in tournament, so he was available when they needed him. Um, and you could also ask the question if he was still if he was healthy during the game, would they have won? You can ask yourself that question because he had 40 points, and when he exited in the fourth quarter, obviously LeBron kind of took over, and AD they fought hard, they won that game. Excuse me. I think I think, and I hate to say this, but I think LA just wanted to get to Denver so they could have an excuse for losing to Denver because it's almost like nobody's going to really criticize them too hard for losing to Denver. So I think they wanted to, because everybody heard, hey, the Lakers should lose, uh, so they could play the Thunder, I think, instead of the Nuggets or something like that. But I think they wanted to play the Nuggets again because if you lose to Denver, I don't think the coach gets fired for that. They're the defending champs. It's kind of like they beat them last year. Maybe they get a game and say, okay, this is, we made it to the playoffs again. Because I just I don't think anybody sees them beating Denver. The reality is they're not as good of a team as they was last year. They got rid of Gabe Vincent, and Gabe Vincent last year was a major playmaker for the Lakers last year. Might not have got as much credit for it, but as you see, he got a big contract. No, 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 no. Wait a minute, I'm tripping. Gabe Vincent was with Miami. Lakers picked him up. So what I'm trying to say is I haven't seen Gabe Vincent assert himself in LA the way he was in Miami, right? So And also, Rui Hachimura was a major player for them in the playoffs last year. Like he was a stud. Like he was averaging I think 20 somehow. And I don't see him getting as many touches this year. I think I don't know what's going on with LA, but they just seem kind of old. They just I don't see them beating Denver. That's just the reality of it. I love LeBron James. I think he's the greatest to ever play, but obviously he's up there in age, and you know you just don't good. I tip my hat to them though. They got in. They beat the Pelicans. The old team beat the young team, as opposed to over there in the Bay Area, where the Warriors lost to the young team. So tip your hat to the Lakers, the veterans, for winning, getting into the playoffs. I think that was their consolation prize. But hey, they got in. So the other playing game I think we had was Miami. No. We had Chicago and Atlanta. That was a bad game. I just think Atlanta should have probably benched Trey Young. I mean, he had a I don't know what happened to his hand. I think he had surgery on his hand. He was turning the ball over, bad passes everywhere. He just didn't seem comfortable. Um, and then Chicago, you know, they had Kobe White, a young player, 42 points. He's a great player, young kid. I love what I saw him do. Um, is Trey Young overrated? I can't speak bad about Trey Young, but when he's injured, I just feel like the things that he struggles with or or highlighted way more when he's hurt. And again, I think they should have coaches should have made a decision to you know rest him up for next year because he looked pretty bad out there with that injured hand. Um, but maybe they didn't have anybody. I don't know who the backup is. I just don't know. I think they could have probably moved Deontay. Who's this? I can't. Deontay. What's his last name? Somebody help me here for the Hawks, the shooting guard. Um, anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. They should have put him at point. Maybe even Bogdanovich. Move him to two. I mean, they could have did some things. That's the NBA. You got to be able to shift your roster a little bit to be able to win. I mean, look at Miami. Jimmy Butler got hurt, and they kept playing, and even Jimmy stayed in the game. But you just got to be able to use your bench. And if a player goes down, you got to be able to use who else is there. I mean, you're playing against the ninth seed Chicago Bulls. I mean, come on. If you first of all, you got to be healthy. You got to play who's healthy. It's the NBA. These teams are not going to come and lay down. This isn't just a regular season game. Uh, I think maybe the coach for Atlanta. Uh, Sometimes you got big names, big contract guys. You don't want to sit them to piss them off. So maybe they just did that for reputation. Hey, you earned it. You got us here. You know, Snyder, that's his name. Snyder, the coach for the Hawks. Maybe he didn't want to contest his ego by sitting him. But now that's a pinpoint on your job now. That's your job. So what? So if I'm a coach, I'm at the end of the day, I got to protect my job. You know what I mean? And Quinn Snyder, thank you. Um, I got to protect my job. So I'm not gonna play you when you're hurt just because you're a very popular player in the NBA. It looked bad. Um, so they're done. So now we can take a look at the playoff bracket as I look at this here, just to see what we're looking at now. We have obviously Nuggets and Lakers. I think Nuggets win that in five. Um, I think the Thunder play. Let's see here. Who do the Thunder play? Yes, let's check it out. Um, I think in the East. So let me just call it the bracket real quick. We got the Nuggets versus the Lakers, Suns versus Dallas. Wow, that's gonna be good. I think Dallas wins that though. They're the 3 seed. The Suns are the 6. I think it's just seeing Booker and KD versus Kyrie and Luca. You got two big names, 2-on-2 instead of a big three. You got big two on both sides. So I think that's going to be entertaining if West Coast battle, and whoever wins that series is going to be battle tested for real. So you got to kind of keep an eye, I think, on that series. Uh, Suns don't have what it takes. I mean, I don't think so either. But the Mavs, who are they? You know, they're not the Nuggets. So and again, Phoenix is a 6th seed. So and to be a 6th seed in the West, I don't think is that easy. So they obviously they had a decent season, and I think both of those teams are kind of up and down. So I just think it'll be an interesting matchup. There's no sweep. There's not going to be a sweep in that series. KD and Booker are not going to allow that to happen. So I just think it'll be a good series. I do pick Dallas in it. Kyrie's been playing great. Uh, I think him and Luca have found a way to finally start playing together with harmony. It took them a couple seasons, I think, which was I think the biggest question mark there in Dallas. I always thought it was a weird trade to bring another ball handler and couple him with Luca. I still don't think it equals a championship. I think both of those are ball dominant players, and I think that one of them would need to thrive on the wing without the ball. They both thrive with the ball, so I still do not see Dallas, surviving past, maybe the first, second round at the most. But I do pick them over Phoenix. I think they get that first series win there. So that's the matchup. What do you guys think? Dallas, Phoenix, first round. And then you got Dallas. Wait a minute. Is that? Hold on. Wait a minute. The Timberwolves logo looks just like the Mavericks logo. So this is interesting. I don't even think Phoenix is playing Dallas. Look at this, if you guys can see this. See, that fifth and third, those logos look identical. So that might be the T Wolves, actually. I think the Suns play the T Wolves. So scratch that. You got Anthony Edwards going against Cat going against KD and Booker. So that'll be still an interesting matchup. Fifth and fourth, you got Dallas versus the Clippers. And then I think we're gonna see the Kings versus OKC. Yeah, yeah. The Kings versus OKC. I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. The Kings versus OKC. I think Chet Holmgren must be playing some good basketball. Because for them to have somehow snatched that 1 seed, I think it was interesting. And you got to watch them, obviously, but I still am just not a believer. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see any of those games. Obviously, Shai's having a breakout season, and he's doing some amazing things. And Chet is obviously a great player as well. But I don't know. I'm sticking with Denver on that as far as coming out of the West. So, and the Suns are very young, and just looking at how they played against Golden State, they just look like they got some pretty young legs. So I think I'm not gonna pick them to upset anybody, but I'm definitely gonna say I'm not gonna be surprised if they do, just because hey, this is a young man's basketball game, and they got a chip on their shoulder losing to Golden State last year. They're playing with a purpose. They got some young guys out there ready to D up and clamp up. They got some depth. We'll just have to see. But like I said, I still got Denver. I'm from Denver. That's always going to be my team, and not only just because of that. I just think their core is so tough. When we're talking about MPJ, Joker, Aaron Gordon, those three guys, Jamal Murray, even Caldwell Pope, just how he plays his role. I just, obviously we got Braun stepping up. He was a rookie last year. He's playing tough off the bench, accepts his role. Well coached team. I just don't see in the playoffs any of these teams really beating Denver. So I do have Denver um, taking the West again. The only question that we have here is we move to the East. I think it's a little easier because you got Boston. I think everybody sees how good Boston's playing, and the question is just going to be how can those guys? Last year they were a disappointment, and I'm not a believer in Boston because of that. And I know they got Porzingis over there now, but it's like, is he traditionally has he ever been a winner? Has he ever been somebody who's able to lead a team? Not saying they need him to lead. They don't need him to lead. That's the thing. I think that's why it's kind of working. But they have a young coach, Missoula. I'm just not sure if I buy into his philosophy. And they got rid of Smart, who was like a culture player for them. Now they got Derek White, who's kind of a quiet point guard. Even though he's a good player. They do have a good team. They do. So I think they come out of the East. You got so they'll be playing Chicago. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I think they still got some plans to do. I'm not sure who plays tomorrow. I think we got to check that out. As a matter of fact, let me go to NBA.com right now and just see who we got in playing. But yeah, I don't see anybody messing with Boston in the East as I look at this. New York obviously somehow was a 2 seed. Jalen Brunson's been playing great. Indiana was a 6 seed. Let's see, Milwaukee somehow was a third, even though a lot of people are criticizing Doc Rivers somehow. But if Milwaukee's a 3 seed and they still got Giannis and Dame, I think you got to look out for them. They might be able to put things together. Uh, Cleveland and Orlando, I'm just not a believer in any of those teams. Just haven't seen enough of them, and they haven't made enough noise traditionally or recently. Or I don't think any of their players, I think Donovan Mitchell, and you got, you know, uh, who's that guy for Orlando? Number one pick. I can't remember his name, but they don't have anybody that scares me. Um, nobody who scares me on Orlando or Cleveland. So like I said, I think Milwaukee, New York, got to watch them as far as who can give Boston a challenge. I think whoever gives Boston a challenge is definitely going to be either New York or Milwaukee. And then from there, uh, the question will be, can they stack up against Denver? I think for the East, they should hope somebody does upset Denver, just because I don't see any of these I don't see any of those Eastern Conference teams stacking up to Denver in any kind of way. Boston might have a chance. I'd be curious to see what their season record was against Denver. But Denver is almost like, to me, they kind of got bored with winning. They just wait. I just think they just couldn't wait for the playoffs. I mean, and I don't think they really cared about 1 or 2 seed. So I don't even think we've seen Denver at full strength yet. I think they were kind of going through the motions, just kind of waiting for these playoffs. So like I said, I don't see any of those team East. I might want to see what the season series again was with Boston. I mean, that's what we all kind of look at. It's what all analysts look at, the regular season matchup, to see, even though the playoffs going to be a little different. But they don't have the experience. Nobody's going to deal with Jokic. He's going to pump those young guys. Uh, Denver repeats again for the NBA title, if you ask me. Um, we did lose a key contributor off the bench, though. Um, I think the guard, Will Brown or Bruce Brown, lost him. I think a lot of people were wondering, what that would do to us, but he really, Denver has a system that people are replaceable, and so they didn't. I think we got Jackson, the backup point guard, who he's a scorer too, and he's played some big games in the playoffs with LA. Um, so we didn't miss anything, and MPJ has stepped up. You know, speaking of Michael Porter Jr., his brother, if you guys heard about that, banned for life. Just transitioning to another topic, I gotta mention it. His brother Jonte Porter banned for life for the gambling thing. Quite embarrassing situation for the family. Him, I think just the whole family. But I mean, obviously, I'm not sure what his relationship is with his brother, but he shouldn't have to worry about money anyway. I think that's the thing that gets me is you got a brother like Michael MPJ in the household. What are you doing? Doing $3,000 gambles anyway. I mean, just silly, man. Just silly. You guys got to be smart. You young guys got to be smarter than that. And I think that's what Adam Silver wanted to do. He just wanted to send a message across the rest of the league. Hey, this. We're not going to put up with this. So I think he became, a poster child for that type of thing. And unfortunately for him, banned for life. Maybe he probably wasn't going to do much damage anyway. But I think that's just a bad look for the entire family. So, but with that being said, Porter Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. stepped up a lot. He's starting to play like how everybody always thought he could. He's definitely a number one somewhere, but he settled in, found a home there in Denver. I think a ring will help a lot of people settle in. So hopefully we're looking at the next dynasty like you saw in Golden State right there in Denver. They said it last year after they beat LA. Hey, we're not done. We're going for a few a few titles. Um, that's basically what I see happening. So let's check this out here. Um, let's see what other playing games we got left. All right, preview Friday. So that's tomorrow. Oh yeah, no Zion and no Jimmy. So you do have two teams that are still in it, but they're gonna be injured. So that's tough. You just got to be honest. New Orleans, they play Sacramento for that plan. Um, I think they're playing for the A seed. Um, with no Zion, I just don't see New Orleans winning that. I mean, because Sacramento just beat Golden State, and they looked hungry. And you need everything. You need all engines blazing when you're playing against a team that young. Zion was kind of the workload. I don't know. And then they were saying Brandon Ingram was benched yesterday, late during the Pelicans game. I'm not sure why, but if Zion's out, Brandon Ingram's not happy. And from what I was told, C.J. McCollum was benched as well. So now that Zion's hurt, you're gonna have to call those guys now, unless they had a chip on their shoulder because they kind of didn't want to see Zion taking their spotlight. Maybe they step up and show that they're the man and they have what it takes to lead the team on their back. We don't know, but Sacramento looked pretty serious. So that's gonna be tomorrow. Uh, Playing turn concludes. Um, Jimmy Butler is out. He's been ruled out. That knee, a nasty fall. Guys just got to be careful out there. Even I think Caruso ran into Drummond. Drummond ran into his own teammate. That was just some pretty freaky injuries in the playing game. I think that's the danger in having a playing though. The guys have already played 82 games, and then they gotta come out and play a very meaningful game that late in the year, and things like that happen. But just kind of weird that so many freak injuries happen to big name players. Jimmy Butler, Zion, and then also Caruso in Chicago. So, and I think they're all out for the second playing game. So it'll be interesting to see, how the team step up and what their depth looks like. The reality is, though, if you lose a guy, you should be able to have enough to win playing games. If not, you were probably going to be a first round exit anyway. That's just the reality of it. So, you know, but yeah, so tomorrow you got that, and you got ready for the playoffs. I just gave you guys a breakdown of kind of what that should look like. Outside of that, I'm going to be using this channel to break down a lot of X's and O's and schemes. Um, some of the coaches try to see some of the philosophies, what they're doing to get advantages over their teams on the coaching aspect of it. That's why this channel is called NBA Training, so you can learn and get better, players and coaches. I do a great job of breaking down the game from an X and O standpoint. I also did it at the NCAA championship with UConn and Purdue. And I'm actually going to be uploading a lot more of coverage of the tournament. Not only just UConn and Purdue, but some of the other teams, just because I feel like that's the best place to learn basketball is at the college level, because it's a lot more complex with the way that they run their offenses, and zone defense is allowed, so it's a lot of defenses. Whereas in the NBA, you have no zone, so you're just running around pick and rolls and just trying to get advantages. And guys are older. I think at the college level, you got a lot more speed and athleticism, and guys who haven't made it, so they're playing hard every play, every game, every possession. And so I love that. Right now, we have the NBA left. In the playoffs, it does get interesting, though. And that's where you start to see a lot of the best basketball being played. So it will be good. I'll be breaking it down so we can learn some stuff. And I also want you guys to get on the court and start taking the stuff you're learning from these games, showing it, on the court on your channels. Send me links of what you can do so we can start working on some improvement skill-wise. That's what this is about. I went to Morehouse University today. Got a real good workout there. I did player development at Morehouse University. Also, the NBA player combine. I worked it last year. Hopefully, I get a chance to do that again this year. I did that with Colin Sexton, who, by the way, had an awesome season this year. I don't think Utah, speaking of, made the playoffs, which would be kind of interesting because I think they had a pretty good, looked like they had a pretty good team. If Utah didn't make the playoffs, as you see, that just means the West shows how tough the West is, because they had some big wins this year. But anyway, um, yeah, guys, it's time to get better. Ask me anything when it comes to philosophy, whether it's from a coaching standpoint, personnel standpoint, player standpoint. What my opinions are. We can have great basketball discussions right here on this page. Pretty much get to anything, any topic basketball related. You're going to be able to get those answers here. This is a community for us, people who just, basketball is a way of life. Ball is life. Uh, with NBA training. So Coach Kelly, call me Coach K. I think for them, I'm gonna cut this video short here. Wanted to cover the play-in, wanted to cover just the entire season. Um, I've done those things. Once I end this video, it will be archived. You'll be able to go on live and start watching this stuff. And if you have any suggestions for the channel, anything, any requests like that, of course, topics to discuss, I'll go ahead and cover those as well. But like I said, this is the sanctuary. This is the community for basketball. We're gonna get it in. We're gonna study. We're gonna get better. We're gonna criticize. We're gonna be honest. And we're going to watch some good basketball. Um, and from there, tomorrow, make sure you guys are watching those playing games, because you're going to see some good battles. Teams are going to have to step up with those injuries, like I said. So make sure you watch those games and get ready to enjoy these playoffs. Make sure you're going to the gym, eating right. You're studying certain players. Make sure you guards. Make sure you watch a lot of Kyrie Irving and Luka. They're going to do some amazing things with the ball. They've gotten some harmony now, some chemistry with each other. So I think they're the two perfect guards to watch. Small guard, obviously, going to watch Kyrie. Bigger guards need to watch Luka, because he's going to do a lot of outside stuff in, post work, fadeaways. So yeah, great basketball. Basketball is back. I'm not going to cover the Caitlin Clark thing. I think it's ridiculous that they're still trying to talk about, women's basketball being compared to men's basketball as far as the money they should make. That's ridiculous. It makes no sense at all. It's like a circus. It's like listening to a monkey talk at a circus. Why would I do that? It makes no sense. Um, I think it's good that they've gotten a little more exposure this year for whatever, however they did it with the drama, the competitive stuff. But I think we need to leave it there. I think it's just ridiculous to make it seem like they're ever going to have sold out NBA, WNBA games. Um, and until they do, I think they need to train more too. That's how they do it. If they want to get more attention in women's basketball, they need to spend more time in the gym as well. And if they want to be like the NBA players, start studying their moves and going out and actually doing the moves that they do. Because when I watch women's basketball, I'm just being honest, it just looks like they're running up the court like high school girls. Um, very elementary footwork. They're not as fast. Obviously, I don't expect them to jump high, so I'm not even going to say that. But even the form of their jump shots, they just look like they're throwing it, they're pushing it. The woman's ball is smaller, so there's no reason why it should look like they're having a shot put the ball. Um, it's already a smaller ball. I think we need to cut all the crap with the Sabrina Ionesco merging the NBA three-point contest. I think Steph Curry should have shut that down for good when he beat Sabrina Ionesco in that three-point shootout. They're still trying to make this crap go on, but whatever. Uh, that's just my opinion. As far as it goes, I think women's basketball, they're going to go as far as they take themselves. They don't need anyone else to give it. I think $300,000-$400,000 a year is a great salary in America for anybody, especially to play a game. I don't know why women always have the need to complain. Just get better. If you want to get better, get better. I think it's obvious you're not at that level yet. So just get better, and then maybe start talking about pay increasing when you start seeing people really want to play like women. There should be I should be able to put a woman on NBA training and show her moves, and I should be able to stay if they're that good. It's just not. So stop the bullshit. Let's just get to it. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow, front and center at these playing games, and get better, because the pros are turning young at a younger age now. So you don't have any time. Parents, you have no time to sit there and not make sure your kid is training with the best available trainer possible. And if you don't have one, again, that's 972-584-7898. I will have individual programs for every player to get better. It's all up to you. Don't be scared. Just go.